Hello everyone, I am Biswajit, the founder and CEO of PenguinFx Academy and Studio. I would like to welcome everyone to today's session. आज ये पहला सेशन है एंटायर कोर्स का। तो पहले सेशन में हम लोग कुछ ज़रूरी चीज़ों की डिस्कशन करेंगे। तो पहला है हम लोग मैच मूविंग सॉफ्टवेयर्स के बारे में जानेंगे कि कितने मैच मूविंग सॉफ्टवेयर्स मार्केट में अवेलेबल है और कुछ ज़रूरी मैच मूविंग पैरामीटर्स विच इज़ वेरी एसेंशियल for match moving. Right, before getting into the software, we'll be going through theory sessions as well and also practicals. So before getting into the software, let's discuss on the match moving softwares. So there are a lot of questions and confusions running around. Like students के माइंड में बहुत सारे क्वेश्चंस ऐसे आते हैं कि सर मार्केट में बहुत सारे मैच मूविंग सॉफ्टवेयर्स अवेलेबल हैं और ऐसे भी कंपोजिटिंग सॉफ्टवेयर्स अवेलेबल हैं जिसमें मैच मूविंग फीचर्स ऑलरेडी है। तो व्हाट इज़ द सॉफ्टवेयर दैट वी हैव टू फोकस ऑन? द फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन इज दैट कि हमें क्या सीखना है, राइट? हमें देयर आर लॉट ऑफ सॉफ्टवेयर्स लाइक 3D इक्विलाइजर इज अवेलेबल इन द मार्केट, PF ट्रैक इज अवेलेबल, Synthesize is available, and Autodesk Matchmover is also available, and there are a lot of various softwares like Blender. Even we can do tracking in Blender, and lot more other softwares like Fusion, After Effects, Nuke, etc. So there's a very big confusion going on. So पहले हम लोग समझते हैं मैच मूविंग सॉफ्टवेयर्स। बेसिकली चार जो बेसिक हमने सॉफ्टवेयर्स के नाम लिए हैं, जैसे PF ट्रैक, 3D इक्विलाइजर, Autodesk Matchmover और Synthesize. These are the tracking dedicated software. ये ऐसे सॉफ्टवेयर हैं जिसमें सिर्फ मैच मूव ही होता है, राइट? These are the main softwares which we use for Matchmove. So अभी क्वेश्चन ये है कि हमें कौन सा सॉफ्टवेयर सीखना है, राइट? अगर हमें कहीं जॉब पे जाना है, लाइक इफ़ यू आर लुकिंग फॉर अ जॉब, इफ़ यू वांट टू बी अ मैच मूवर, व्हाट इज़ द बेस्ट मैच मूविंग सॉफ्टवेयर दैट वी हैव टू फोकस ऑन? So the answer of the question is we don't have to focus on match moving software. So it's a suggestion from my side, like कि आप लोग match moving software पे focus मत करो, focus on the fundamentals first. Before getting into the software, we have to understand the fundamentals first. This is the like worst thing that we can see in the industry. Like people used to run after learning softwares, है ना? अगर आपको अगर कुछ चीज़ें सीखनी हैं, पहले आप उसके फंडामेंटल्स को आपको सीखनी बहुत ज़रूरी है। आप अगर डायरेक्टली किसी मैच मूविंग ट्यूटोरियल को फॉलो करोगे, आप एक एक्सटेंट तक सीख पाओगे, बट इससे ज़्यादा आप नहीं सीख पाओगे, राइट? तो मैच मूविंग सीखने से पहले कुछ फंडामेंटल्स सीखनी बहुत ज़रूरी है। आप बहुत सारे अलग अलग सॉफ्टवेयर्स हो सकते हैं, बट इन सारे सॉफ्टवेयर्स के जो फंडामेंटल्स हैं, जो बेसिक्स हैं, दोज आर सेम। द फीचर 3D इक्विलाइजर में जो फीचर्स आपको मिलेंगे वही फीचर्स आपको PF ट्रैक में मिल सकते हैं, बट डिफरेंस क्या है? सब यूज़र इंटरफेस का डिफरेंस है ज़्यादातर। मे बी वहाँ पे वो टूल किसी और तरीके से काम करती हो और इक्विलाइजर में किसी और तरीके से काम करती हो। तो द वे इट वर्क्स इज डिफरेंट, बट द फंडामेंटल्स आर ऑलवेज द सेम, राइट? This is like mathematics, this is like algorithm. If you know the algorithm, you can write that program in any language, whether it may be Python, whether it may be Java, whether it may be anything. Right? This is the basic thing you have to understand first. So before getting into the like basic interface, I would like to discuss something on the parameters that we have to learn about, which is very 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 crucial for match moving. So the first parameter, see, this is the basic interface you see here. By default it will be something, yeah, by default it will be like this. So once you see this interface, you go to environment, click on basic. You'll get your basic user interface from where we can start working on, right? तो इन इंटरफेसेस के बारे में डिस्कस करने से पहले सबसे पहले हम लोग पैरामीटर्स के बारे में डिस्कस करते हैं। तो पहला है फिल्म बैक वाइट, फिल्म बैक हाइट, फोकल लेंथ, फिल्म एस्पेक्ट रेशियो। तो बहुत सारे पैरामीटर्स हैं जो आप यहाँ पे देख पा रहे हैं, राइट? दीज आर द बेसिक पैरामीटर्स यू हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड फर्स्ट. So the first and second session of our entire course will be completely based on theory and a bit of practical to make you understand the theory better. राइट। तो सबसे पहले हम लोग समझते हैं कि ये फिल्म बैक हाइट एंड फिल्म बैक वाइट क्या होता है, राइट। सो लेट्स अंडरस्टैंड दिस फर्स्ट। सो okay, so I'll draw something here, like let's understand the basic structure of a camera first, right. So we are not getting into much technicalities, but we'll try to understand at least the basic structure of the camera, right. सबसे पहले अगर हम लोग यहाँ पे let me draw a sphere here, like okay. Sorry, I'm coughing. So let it be the lens of the camera, correct, and let it be a small sensor on this camera, right. And let me draw one more thing. Okay, so let it be the LED screen here and rest of the things. Okay, so this is not very necessary, but this is the basic structure of the camera. First of all, we need to understand what is this. This is the lens of the camera, right. This is the lens of the camera, and this is like called the sensor size. This is called the sensor of the camera, the image sensor. Actually, we call it image sensor, right. So first of all, the first parameter is film back height, film back white and film back height, correct. So the parameter means like the height, this is the height and this is the weight, this is the height and the weight. So the height and weight of this like apparatus, which is called image sensor, is called the film back data. These height and weight are collectively called film back data, right. Film back data means the height and weight of the image sensor. And now let's understand the focal length. So everyone must have heard about focal length. Very commonly you have maybe and this is the image sensor is the part of the camera which receives light information. Like suppose if I draw like I'll make you understand by a drawing here, like okay, let's draw a line here and let's draw it here, like so. Let's assume that these are the light rays coming in through the lens and it's getting projected on this plate. So basically what happens whenever light rays travels through the lens, this after that when it gets intersected here, after that it gets projected on this image sensor. So this is the work of an image sensor, to capture the light information, and it converts the light information, which is an analog form of energy, into an electrical form. So that's how we are able to see whatever is it's being here. We are able to see on this like the LED screen of the camera. So this is how image sensor works. So the distance, so this the height and weight of the image sensor is known as the film back data of the camera. Okay, so now like the second thing is, let's understand about focal length, right. So before getting into focal length, I would like to tell you that why we are discussing on that much of theories, correct. So okay, so I just want you to know कि थ्योरी क्यों इम्पॉर्टेंट है, लाइक मैचमूव और विजुअल इफेक्ट्स में थ्योरी क्यों इम्पॉर्टेंट है, क्योंकि लाइक बिकॉज VFX इज़ अ फील्ड वेयर टेक्नोलॉजी चेंजेस आर नो सरप्राइजेस एनी मोर. लाइक कभी भी कोई भी सॉफ्टवेयर चेंज हो सकता है, कभी भी कोई भी टेक्नोलॉजी अपडेट हो सकती है, या डे बाई डे टेक्नोलॉजी इज़ एडवांसिंग, राइट. सो टू कोप अप विद दैट, like we have to understand the basic fundamentals, the basic theories which will help us to cope up with the coming new softwares. Maybe 4 से 5 साल के बाद में भी instead of using 3D equalizer we might be using some more smarter software. So उन सॉफ्टवेयर्स के साथ कोप अप करने के लिए like we have to be adaptable, like we have to know how to adapt things. So to increase your adaptability on softwares, on technology, you will have to know the theories, you will have to know the basics of the softwares, of the processes, how it works. So that is the reason why I'm like teaching about theory. So now let's get into the focal length, and also let's get into more about this camera structure. Okay, so the second topic is focal length. So everyone must be aware of focal length or might not be. So we need to understand first what is focal length. Focal length is nothing. I'll mark in the same diagram. See, you can see this lens, right? The distance of the lens from the image sensor is the focal length. It works in the same way like if you move a torch, if you light a torch towards the wall, and if you go towards the center, if you go towards the wall, if you move towards the wall with the torch, the size of the torch light which has been projected on the wall will become smaller and smaller, and if we pull back the torch away from the wall, it will become larger and larger. The similar way the focal length works. So let's understand first of all what focal length is. As I have already mentioned, the distance between the image sensor and the lens of the camera is called the focal length. So let it be 35 mm. As we have understood what is focal length, now let's understand how focal length affects the angle of view. Correct? So let's know what is angle of view. So if you can see in the same diagram, if I draw an angle here, so this is the angle of view, right? This is the area of the view that we can really understand by seeing at the diagram, that how much of the area how much of the area it's visible through the lens. So an angle is created. So this part is the angle of view. So it may be a 60-degree angle, it may be a 90-degree angle. Everything depends on the distance of the lens and the distance of the lens from the image sensor. So suppose let's understand this is as a 30 mm distance, right? Suppose we increase the distance to 60 mm, so the distance of the lens will increase and the lens will be somewhere here. Okay, so let's understand, the smaller the lens gives a wider angle of view, and the larger number of the lens, I mean the larger value the lens have, it gives a narrower angle of view, it gives a smaller angle of view. Correct? So to understand, let's get into a 3D software, that's Maya, so to make you better understand. Nothing, just let's create a camera over here, right? If you can see that camera. Now let's get into an option which is called the frustum display controls. So let's open frustum display controls. It will help you to understand the angle of view of the camera. See this. Suppose the focal length is, by default the focal length is 35, so you can see the angle of view, it's a wider angle of view. Suppose if I increase the focal length to 60, maybe a larger value, it gives a narrower angle of view. Suppose if I take the value to 25, it gives a wider angle of view. So this is how we understand like how the distance from the lens and the image sensor affects the angle of view of the camera. So with the help of an image, I would like to explain you. Suppose I have an image for an example. See, let's focus on the red house with an 18 mm, which is a wider angle of view. We can see a wider angle here. We can see all the objects which is in front of the camera. And suppose now we are in 24 mm, we can see very little bit of less information in this image. Suppose those parts are see, this part is missing now. Now we are getting more closer to the subject, but the angle of view is getting narrower. So we can see less features, we can see very less of the scenery. Now let's move to 35 mm, 55 mm, 85 mm, 105 mm, and larger and larger. Now the subject which we can see at 18 mm, the red, so the red object that you can see, that is, which is very far from the camera in 18 mm, and if we go to the larger value, then we can see the object closer. Like, this is what we have learned from focal length. So this is what we have learned in focal length, and now let's before getting into further details on parameters like pixel aspect ratio, distortion, and few more important attributes, so let's get back to the user interface part of the software. Like, suppose if you are opening the software for the first time, you will be able to see such kind of workspace. So this workspace is not workable, so we have to set our own workspace where we can start work on the match moving project. So let's click on basic. So in this basic layout, you can see you can see the interface has been divided into three parts. One is on the left side of the screen, that is object browser, point browser, deviation browser, and let's go to the right side of the screen. Then you will find an attribute editor. The attribute editor is same as like in Maya, so which has all the parameters and controls for the lens parameters, for the camera parameters, and few more things. So if you can find project, you can find project attribute, you can find camera attribute, you can find point group, point 3D models, and lens. You can get all the attributes and controls for all the things that we are going to use in the on this project. You will find all the parameters here. So, and the third part is the timeline. If you can see below, you'll be able to see this timeline. We are not able to select we won't be able to select the timeline for now. The reason is because we have not imported our footage or plate to work on. So before getting into the plates and all, so let's get back to the object browser. Under object browser, you will find some objects, that is, one is scene, and under scene you will find a camera, which is the default camera which has been there in the 3D software. So on the opposite side, just the attribute editor, you can see like a box named identifier. Identifier is nothing, just to rename the camera. As I have renamed to test 35, the camera names, you can see the camera name here at the 3D viewport test 34, and also and the scene under camera, you can see the camera name has been changed. So under this you can see point groups. Under point groups you will find points. This is the panel where you can find all your 2D points and 3D models. If you're working on 3D models such as lidar scans or any geometry we're importing to 3D equalizer, you will find everything here, or else you can import your model from these options. Geo objects and constraints are a part of very important things. So both we'll discuss about this, both of the options later on further projects. So under this you can see an option which is called lens. So this is the lens of the camera. So the 3D camera comes with a default lens of 30 mm in 3D equalizer. So you can see, if you select the lens, you can see automatically in 3D equalizer that it shows a focal length of 30 mm. So under this you will find a point browser. Point browser is the panel from where you can manipulate, you can select, you can do anything with the 2D points that you have tracked. So there are a lot more features. You can transfer the points to a different point group, and lot more things can be done, which we will be discussing further in further classes. So under this you will find a very important panel which is known as the deviation browser. Okay, so before getting into the deviation browser details, let's understand what deviation is. I'll explain you with a drawing. So let's say that there is a point A and also there is a point B. So this is the point A and this is point B. So let's say the point B is the destination of the path and point A is the initial point. So let's draw a line, and this line represents the path of the object will follow. So this is suppose any object following this path in a straight line, and it will reach to this destination B. So suppose this is our actual destination, actual path and the destination. So suppose there is an object which travels along the path and deviates from a specific point. Suppose it deviates and it creates a path something like this. Suppose this object starts from point A and it deviates its path, and again it comes to point B. So this point will be called as point of deviation. So we'll be learning about more options and in more detail about everything in equalizer, and also about the custom tools that you can see over here. So before that, let's learn how to import the footage. So let's click on the camera. As soon as we click on the camera, you can see a camera tab popping out on the attribute editor. So you just go through this under this live action footage. You can see proxy footage. Under proxy footage we can see browse. Just click on browse and let's import our plate. So let me tell you that 3D equalizer understands only sequence, so you can import only sequence. So if you have a footage, you have to render it to a sequence format and you can import the plate. Let's copy the path. Let's paste it here. See, if you want to see what you are importing, you can just click on show image. It will show you, and just click on OK. And now we are in line of option. We will have to change it to manual tracking controls. So in manual tracking controls, you will be able to add 2D track points. So we'll be taking this further in next class, and this is your timeline editor, how you can play. So before starting to track, you'll have to export the buffer compression file. Buffer compression file is nothing, we are just caching out the entire plate so that we don't have to wait, or we don't have to buffer the footage every time we open 3D equalizer. So once you export the buffer compression file, so for the next time you need not you don't have to wait for the buffering and so this is end of this course today, and on the next class we'll be learning about more options and in more details, and we'll be learning how theories are helpful in doing practicals. This is the end of today's class. We'll be learning about more parameters and more details and more theories on our next class. So hope you guys have enjoyed a lot. Hope you guys have learned a lot from this session, and we'll definitely come up with new sessions with exciting knowledge, with exciting work processes that you'll be able to see and learn. So, and I would like to inform you that I've been writing a book on 3D tracking and Matchmove. So the book is going to launch on January 24th. I hope you'll read the book. I hope you'll get to learn a lot in that. So I've written my entire experience, I've written my industry experience in that book. I've written problems and solutions for the book, and solutions in the book for matchmoving. Hope you guys will enjoy a lot. So the book contains theories and practical problems and practical solutions to the problems. Thank you everyone.